Okay, we're good on time. At this point, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our next guest speaker, keynote speaker. This is Andres from Avianca Holdings.
Thank you.
Andres is going to be talking to us now about innovation with a human touch.
Okay. I just got 10 minutes less than I expected. That's fine.
Okay.
they took 10 minutes of my presentation. So, some 10 years ago, I was working at a consulting company, and I visited 100 or more companies, and I started seeing that there was a coincidence between all of them. And the coincidence was that every single one of them declared innovation as part of their strategic plan. So everyone was thinking about this. The next question I started asking when I noticed that is, do you have a budget? Do you have money for this? And over 90% of them said, yes, we have money. So I actually quit my job, and I thought there was a huge opportunity. What I found after I quit my job is they didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with them, and so it was a difficult task. Now, that was about 10 years ago, and I've learned a lot since. And so let me share with you what I've learned over these 10 years. Now, there's going to be a lot of coincidence with the previous presentation. That is fine. we didn't talk before the presentation. So the first thing I learned is innovation is a capacity of the people, just like learning a new language, doing math, any of those characteristics that make us human. And you can actually teach people to innovate, and they don't have to be innovators from the birth. And that makes a significant difference, because what I've seen is many companies believe that innovation is a function. And when they do that, they create the area of innovation, which is, it makes as much sense as creating, the vice president of teamwork when you want people to work in teams. And it doesn't make sense at all. And of course, I haven't told this to my boss, because I'm the director of innovation. But it doesn't make sense to have an innovation team. So when you do create an innovation team, you end up doing a lot of innovation theater. And innovation theater is when you look like you are innovating, but you are not actually doing anything. And it's true. And I visited a bank back in Bogota a couple of weeks ago, and they had even built a 4 floors building to innovate. And I was asking them, so what do you do here in this building? And I said, we don't know. But it's fun, and everyone is here and is having a good time, and we have coffee, and the startups come here and they pitch us great businesses. But they don't know what to do. I heard you're partnering with JetBlue Ventures. I had a conversation with them 2-3 months ago, and they have this amazing fund. They are given, they get $10 million plus every year to invest in startups. And I asked them, so what do you do with those startups? And they said, we don't know, but we spent a lot of money with them. And it's great. It's great. It might work for them, and I'm not saying they are wrong, but you need to have a purpose to innovate. And so what we did at Avianca is we created a temporary team, and so I expect my team to disband in the next 5 years if we do things right, to help others gain the capacity of innovation. So that's the main purpose of our team. We are going to teach others to innovate. And so let's see how you go about that. And so let me just give you some ideas about what is Avianca and how we approached it. We are a Latin American airline. We connect Latin America with the world. We fly to Europe. We fly to the United States, Canada. And we want to attract and retain customers that want to connect to Latin America. We want to bring the Europeans that want to go to Latin America and the Latin Americans that want to go to come to Europe. And we want to attract them to our airline, showing them what Latin America is all about, and we want to retain them. Of course, we've been around for 100 years. It started as a German company in Colombia. Not a lot of people know that. And during the war, the Colombian government got into the war as well, and they took away the property from the Germans. And but the airline could continue to exist, and they joined forces with with some Colombian investors. And so we've been around for 100 years. Next year is going to be 100. Second oldest airline in the world. We cannot change what we are. So we cannot turn into a low-cost carrier. It's not in our DNA. That's too difficult to do. So we decided to continue to be a full-service airline. Now, what's the caveat here? We have to be operationally efficient. As efficient as a low-cost carrier, but giving away full service. This is tough, but this is a strong proposition. And our CEO, who comes from the technology business, is completely convinced that we can do it. And we've been shaving a lot of cost, and every time I go around the business, I see the opportunities to shave cost and improve our experience. The thing is, you have to do both things at the same time. This is difficult. This is really difficult. Let me show you what happens if you don't do it at the same time. If we focus on experience first, and only on experience, what happens is we end up with amazing experiences driven by huge groups of people working on things that we cannot deliver. Stuff. This is what we have been doing for a long time. If I was in IT, I work in the IT group, but if I was in the hard IT group, I would love this other approach, which is I want the whole infrastructure to present the services, and then we start delivering services. What happens with that is you lose your differentiation factor. There's no difference. The client, the customer, the passenger is not going to live through any better experience than what he's living with right now. So we're trying to take this approach, which is we do a little step on experience, and then we try a little bit of operational efficiency. And so it's like knitting. One step one way, the other step the other way, until we get the experiences that we want to give. If we do it right, we should become a digital company that flies airplanes, which is completely different than an airline. It's another business. It's another business proposition, and it should protect us from what I call the race to zero. Not too different to the cell phone industry, in which a minute is zero now, or close to zero. I think we are walking towards tickets that cost $0. And so what are we going to do? How are we going to finance our business? We need to find it, and we need to find it fast. So how do we do that? We understand our customers' jobs to be done. And I think this is the coincidence that we have with the previous presentation. What is the job to be done? Let's just think for a minute. Why are you here today? I'm pretty sure you didn't come because you think Seeheim is the ultimate destination for the next couple of days. You're not here because of that. You're here because you have a job to do. You need to help someone in your organization do their job. My job here today, my job, this is the reason I came, is help you, help others by sharing the experiences that I've been living through over the last 10 years. And you are doing exactly the same. You're listening to me today, and you're going to learn something, hopefully. And you're going to go back to your country, to your airline, and you're going to try and apply those principles that we gave you. and you're going to help others do their job. Now, here's the thing. That would be a functional job. Now, this is tough. Why? Because we're people. We're human. And so I told you my job is to help you help others. But really, my job here is also emotional and social. The guy in the photo is my father. He went to school in Heidelberg, not far away from here. And the moment I told him I was coming to say hi and do a keynote, he got so proud. He called his friends from school, and he told them, you know, Andres is going to say hi, and he's going to give a big keynote. He was so proud. So my emotional job here is to make my father proud. True. Of course, now that I'm talking to you, and I remember that I quit my job at PwC back then, I also want to make some money. So hopefully, when after my keynote, we start speaking, and maybe I'll quit my job again. Just kidding. But really, there might be an opportunity for me or for you. It doesn't matter. There is a job to be done. Now, here's the big takeaway. Your job, it doesn't matter which position you are in. Your job is to find a way to help others do their job. Right? If you are the CEO of the company, it doesn't matter. If you are the cleaning lady, it doesn't matter. Your job is to help others do their job. You have to facilitate for them their job. If you do that, people will come back to you and ask for more. If you are actually delivering an easier way to do their job, they will come back to you. This is the retaining piece in the attract clients and retain them. So you have to keep on delivering the facilitation of their job. It's not that easy. Every job is different depending on circumstances. The previous presentation called it context. So I said, my job here is to deliver this presentation. Hopefully, you will take the information that I gave you. It will make your life easier back there. But since emotional circumstances and social circumstances get in the way, the actual job is not that clear. You cannot just ask people and they will tell you their job. They probably don't even know what their job is. So you have to help them also discover what their job is. And the good news is they tell you. They tell you when they get mad, normally. So if you cancel a trip for someone, they will immediately shout at you and say, I have to be there. My family is expecting me for Christmas. I have to close a deal. Whatever it is, their circumstance, they will tell you. And now you need to capture that information. Here's the problem with that. They don't tell you the truth. And this is what drives data scientists crazy. They lie all the time. So we actually got into a plane. We got into a plane. We were looking at the food choices in an Avianca flight. And so when we asked them, what do you want to eat? Do you want healthy food? What kind of food do you want? They said, we want healthy food. This is what we want. Fine. We put some healthy choices in the menu, and then we walked over the aisle to see what they had, what choice they had taken in the flight. 75% of them had taken the non-healthy choice. What's the problem? Remember, there is a social job as well. So people give you the answer they think is the social, the one that empathizes the most with whomever you're talking to. But then they do what they want, of course, right? And so if you ask people if they are using Tinder, for example, they won't tell you they are using it. But they are using it, we know. There's a statistic, right? So you need to ask, but you need to also observe. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to find the sensor that does that other than a human. And so our team has anthropologists. And they use a technique called ethnography to do this. And they gather data, and we place data into our systems, into our data lake, and we try to analyze that data. The other thing is, correlation doesn't mean causation. So once you have all this data, it doesn't make sense to just find coincidences, because there is no causation in that. So myself, I'm Caucasian, I'm middle-aged. That doesn't mean I'm going to buy a ticket at Avianca. It doesn't mean that. It just means that I'm Caucasian and I am middle-aged. So how do you understand where the coincidences are, and how do you build the products? The first thing is, your own people are your customers. And so this is not only about the passengers that fly with you. Inside your company, you also have people that have jobs to be done. And so most of you, if you are in IT, and I think most of you are, your job is to help them do their job. And so you need to start with them and understand them. Our basic promise at Avianca is to get the traveler back home safe. That's the basic promise. Anything that we do has to comply with this rule. This is the rule that we cannot break. Now, what is the promise? We have to help our customer complete the job to be done through the actions that we take. And this is where it gets difficult, and this is the main point I want to make. Our actions cause pain into the customer. Anything that we do causes pain. Now, some things that we do cause a lot of pain, depending on the circumstance and the context. Some things that we do don't cause that much pain. So our job is to modulate the pain continuously. And so we're building a playbook. We're building a playbook based on the statistics that we take, not on correlation, but on causation. If we do this, the customer is going to get mad. If we do that, he gets less mad. Which one do we do? The less mad one. And so we're continuously sensing the customer, the pain that we're causing, and taking the action that causes the least pain. This is I need you to understand this, because this is really, really tough to understand. And I compare it to the manager of a football team, and he makes decisions based on what is working and what is not working. So we built this playbook. We have a list of actions that we can take on any circumstance, any part of the customer journey, and we decide for each customer, based on the pain that he shows, what is our next move, one at a time. So step by step. I still have some time, so I'm going to go slow. This is what we do. The first step is we map our customer's journey, which is pretty similar to the one that was shown in the previous presentation. We have 19 steps out of 3 stages: plan, fly, and return. That's it. And through those 19 stages, we've been looking for interactions, we call them rituals, interactions with our client. Each one of those interactions is designed using the principle that I just told you. For each one of those steps, we figure out which actions can we take, and we measure the level of pain that we're causing, depending on the circumstance of our client. And so each client receives, when They are flying with us. Each client should receive the least painful action that we can give. This is how we personalize our experience. Next step is you cannot do this if you stay in the building. You have to get out and you have to talk to clients. There's no way, I repeat, to do this behind your desk. And this is where most companies fail. This is why I don't have a 4th-floor building in Avianca for innovation. If I had this building, everyone would come to my building and think about these problems in an environment where there is no customer. And so we cannot measure pain and the pain that we're giving. So my people spend 75% of their time outside, at the airport, in a plane, in the street. We empathize with them. So we try and suffer the same fate that they suffer with us every time. And it makes a lot of difference. The best, it's kind of funny because the best time my team had was during the strike in Avianca. We had a 60-day strike last year. Our best time was during the strike. We went to the airport and we started empathizing with our customers, and they started telling us what they were feeling and how they were feeling. And we started coming up with simple solutions to deep problems. For example, we were standing on a line at the airport during the strike, and we noticed some customers were really, really mad. Why were they mad? Their circumstance made them mad. So we looked at them, we identified the maddest of those customers. We took them away from the line and we put them in another line. They continued to be mad. It's fine. But the ones that were in the line and were not mad became happier. This came this idea came from Disney. You pay a lot of money to go to Disney World to stay in line, right? You spend 16 hours a day in Disney, and you're standing there, I don't know, 10, 12 hours in line. Now, what did they do to better their performance? They gave you the opportunity to cut in line 3 times a day. That opportunity actually makes your experience when you are not cutting in line in the power pass, or how they call it, makes it worse for you in the line, because they are all cutting in line, and so your wait is longer. But then you get this adrenaline rush when you get the power pass and you're cutting in line. So for those 3 times a day, when you feel happier that you could cut in line, it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. And when you come back home, you remember, I cut in line in that long line, 3 hours line. But you made, I tried to calculate it. I was in Disney World a couple weeks ago. I tried to calculate how long it takes. I think it's 2 or 3 hours more line, just because they allow you to cut in line. But you don't remember that. You don't remember the bad time. You remember the good time. So you need to empathize with your customer. Of course, you need to understand the pain that you are causing on your client. This is done through empathizing, but you have to place his well-being first at all times. So you don't want to overdo it. You try and modulate the pain. So you know you're giving pain. You can give a little bit more pain sometimes, most of the time. But then when you actually give a little bit of happiness, you're pushing it all the way through. And when you do that, again, because we're human, and I think it's chemical, I don't know, you're happier. You're just happier, and you will remember those moments of happiness way more than those moments of pain. Number 4 is challenge the hippos. You know who the hippos are? Highest paid person. You're challenging your hippos all the time. These guys are terrible. There's a study, I think it's the University of Minnesota. They went to thousands of companies. And they actually looked at every decision that the boss did against the data scientist. The bosses only got it right 5% of the time. 95% of the time, they were wrong. They take decisions from the gut, and it doesn't work. So you have to rebel against your hippo. Whatever your boss tells you, go back, gather data, and if he's right, shut up. If he's not, challenge him with all your force. And it works. And we have been doing this at Avianca, and my team is duplicating in size now, just because we started doing that. We started showing the vice presidents, the C-levels, that they were wrong in most of their decisions. And you start creating value, a lot of value with those decisions. The way it normally works, and think about, of course it doesn't happen in your company, it happens in my company, but if you think about this, how does a big decision, how is a big decision made? The vice president gets a great idea, and he calls for 2 analysts, one to place every number in an Excel spreadsheet. It always works. Somehow they are amazing, and the numbers always work. And the other one is doing a PowerPoint presentation. And they get approval. They never went out of the building. They never talked to a customer. And what happens is, once you are executing your project, you find out about all those things that you didn't know about. And your project starts failing, and you have a lot of trouble. So just get out of the building and be a rebel. You probably don't remember, I barely remember this, but Muhammad Ali fought George Foreman in the 70s, I think it was in Africa. And at that time, Muhammad Ali was not the favorite in this fight. It was George Foreman. Of course, we know George Foreman now because he's an old guy, bald guy, he sells grills. But at that time, he was really, really bad. He was the baddest boxer in the world. And everyone thought that he was going to beat Muhammad Ali. And the organizers even had a plane ready to fly Muhammad Ali to a brain surgeon in case he got knocked out. Now, Muhammad Ali, he was an innovator in boxing. He thought really deep about his fight. And he decided to fight different than the way he fights normally. You remember he used to dance around, and he said, sting like a bee, fly like a butterfly. And in this fight, he actually got like this against the ropes. This is exactly what you don't want to do when you're a boxer. He got like this and against the ropes. And every time Foreman, who was really strong, sent a punch, he would go against the ropes and rebound. Against the ropes and rebound. And he was absorbing the force of George Foreman's punches. He did this for, I think it's 7 rounds of the fight. By the 8th round, Foreman was so tired of sending punches that Muhammad Ali knocked him out. And he won the fight, and he won the title again. And so the key point in this slide is you have to be resilient. You're going to be wrong most of the time. In my case, I tell my boss I'm wrong 9 out of 10 times in what I do. But when I am right, I'm really right. So you better listen to me when I'm right. And I try to tell him, to talk to him only when I'm right, of course. But I'm wrong most of the time. I'm a boss as well. And so you have to be resilient. Every time you're wrong, it doesn't matter. You just try again. and again and again. At some point, either they get tired or you are right. You finally find how you are right. So prototype and test your ideas. This is, like, I think, a commonality in every single innovation speech. Prototype and test, and you're going to be wrong. It doesn't matter. Try again, try again, try again. Finally, you have to iterate using the feedback loop. You have to iterate until your customer loves you. This is really important. Before you build or you sell anything, they have to love you. When they love you, you make a lot of noise. A lot of noise, and you create symbols. We did, and there's someone from IT from Avianca there. But in December, we came up with an application. It's based on a framework from Microsoft Power Apps. And it was a crappy application, I would say. Not the best application in the world. But our customer loved it. It was an internal customer. He loved it. He loved it so much that when we took it to IT, and IT said, this is not stable, this won't work, the customer said, there's no way I'm living without this application anymore. So I'm keeping it. What did we do? We got Herman Efromovich, our main shareholder. We found him at the airport. We showed him the application. He loves to help people board the plane and stuff. And we showed him the application. We filmed a video of him telling how great the application was. We put it in the social networks inside Avianca. The application is working. It's working there. They couldn't uninstall it. IT could not uninstall it. This is how you get, and the previous presentation they were saying that you have a hard time moving from the design, the garage, to the factory. This is how you do the factory. You make them love you first. You create a symbol. You make a lot of noise, and then no one dares beating the crowd. So you stay with the crowd, and you get your way. When they love you, you create those happiness moments, and this is what we do. Our motto now is todo para enamorarte in Spanish, which means we do everything to make you fall in love with us. This is my presentation, and hopefully you got something out of this. It's a different approach. But I think it works. It's working in Avianca. And step by step in this knitting process, we're going to end up changing our customers' experience completely. Thank you.
Andres, thank you very much. Yeah, that was a very inspiring presentation. And in fact, in preparation for this, we spoke last night, and you did tell me that you're going to be very provocative. Now, I think probably everyone in the room felt provoked by some of that stuff. For instance, I now know that we are all sadists inflicting pain on our customers. Yeah. Now, the main thing is, of course, dear customers, we try to inflict as little pain as possible. Yeah. Now, actually, Andres, before we have the final farewell, can you click back that slide? Go back one slide. Yeah. Here we go. I want this one to win. Yeah. So if someone can take a photograph. Yeah.
I will win.
Yeah. Anyone ready? Yeah. Cheese. Good. Thank you very much. Andres,
thank you.
Fantastic. Well done. Big noise. Andres Valdraff.